Hi, everybody. This is Todd Creager, and I want to talk to you about couples intimacy. It's one of the things I do all the time. The name of this, I love this. It's called The Art of Doing Nothing Together. The Art of Doing Nothing Together. I do encourage my couples to enjoy each other's company without the need for constant activity or distractions. I want them to learn and appreciate the simple pleasure of just being together. I am not against activity. I mean, I do plenty of activity with my wife. We vacation together, we hike together a lot. We dance, probably not enough. We do a lot of activity together, and that's great. We're with friends. We do a lot of social activities with other people together. But the art of doing nothing together is totally undervalued. And I am wanting you, if you're listening, well, if you are listening to me, to apply this. If you're in a relationship, apply this immediately. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. I gave a talk to a bunch of sex therapists many years ago, and I was talking about how I ask my couples to commit to 10 minutes of slowing down together. It's another phrase I use. I'll be using that in an upcoming video or talk or podcast. But this one lady raised her hand, and I said, yeah, yes. And she goes, my husband and I, for the last 4 years, have not missed one day of sitting, looking at each other in the eyes, just looking at each other in the eyes for 5 minutes. That's what we do for 5 minutes every day. Wow, that is intense. And she said it was intense and was something they had to practice in the very beginning because they wanted to do it. They understood the value of it, but it's not an easy thing. I mean, experiment with looking at your partner for more than 10 seconds. It's not easy. They did it for 5 minutes. That's a long time of sitting still and just looking at each other. Now, by the way, if you try that and you start to giggle, that's okay. Stay with it. All kinds of feelings come up. We tend to unknowingly, oftentimes, and unconsciously resist being close to each other. We resist being seen by each other. So the art of doing nothing together does include the art of looking at each other. When I say the art of doing nothing, it's the art of doing nothing together. It's not like you're in one part of the house and the other person's in the other part of the house and you're doing nothing. I mean, that might be helpful too. I think that's not a bad thing to do once in a while too, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about doing nothing together. Just sitting with each other. You could do this what this one couple did and, looking at each other for 5 minutes, but you don't have to do it that way. I think that's a great way to do it. It's just a matter of cuddling together. It's not about during the time of cuddling that you're trying to arouse each other and make love. I'm not even saying that because that's something. That's doing something. Cuddling, I guess you could say cuddling is something, but I'm talking about just being together, doing nothing together, enjoying each other's company without the need for constant activity, without having looking at a screen together. That's not doing nothing. It's if it's not looking at each other, it could be touching each other. It could be just sitting even side by side with each other, but feeling touch. I do want a connection. That's the together. The way to connect with our partners is either through eyes, through touch, or through words. But I'm not even talking about words right now. Because as much as I talk about words and I talk about learning to connect in a deep level with words, that could be a distraction too. When we're talking about doing nothing together, I'm not talking about talking. It's just being with each other and touching each other. It's not a lot of work, it's just being. And looking at each other is not a lot of work, it's just being. Just appreciating the simple pleasure of being together. Give yourself that permission. You know, we could do that. There's a lot of things we don't give ourselves permission to do because something in our minds, we listen to our minds way too much a lot of times. And the mind says, you can't do that. That's not productive. You know, if you're going to be together, at least have sex. Again, I'm not opposed to sex, and I'm not opposed to, like I said, doing things together, but doing nothing together, let's value it. Take the time to do nothing together. However you want to do nothing together. It's more about, like I said, giving yourself permission to just be with each other and not listening to the mind that says, oh, I should be doing something. Oh, this is a waste of time. We could be getting something done around the house. You could, just not now. Try this for 30 straight days of doing nothing together for 5-10 minutes. See if your relationship's any better. See if your house is that much more in chaos. I don't think so. I think your relationship will be better. Try it. I don't think there's a lot more I could say about doing nothing together. Just do nothing together. Again, I'm going to say this for the third time. A lot of it is giving yourself permission to just not be interested in all the different rules in your head that say you can't, or all the different fears in your head, which is, it might be having to do with fear of intimacy, fear of being judged, whatever. Just do nothing together. And I'll be interested in any comments you have about that. I'd love to hear from you about this practice of doing nothing together. Really would be real interesting to hear. So that's what I want to say about that. This is Todd Creager, making the world safe for love.